Welcome to Focus Friday. I'm Ms. Dorman. I'm a teacher here at the Nerdasassa, and I teach first grade. Today I wanted to speak to you about some homework ideas that you might be able to use for your child. Um, in the past, we used to possibly send packets of work home, but we want it to be meaningful homework. And not only will this give you a chance to work with your child and see what they know, sort of to support what we're doing in the classroom, but it'll also give you some quality time with your child as well. So I just wanted to go over some things with you. Even though I teach first grade, these are things that can be applied to students from pre-K all the way through fifth grade. So once you know where your student is when you're working with them, this would be a great time to just fill in those gaps where you see maybe they've missed something along the way. So working with our youngest students, you can do something very basic. This is just a little tub that actually had lunch meat in it. It's something you don't even have to go buy something extra for. These items came from the Dollar Tree. There's some pom-poms in here, but you can also use maybe even Cheerios or any small items, buttons, anything like that you may have at home. And this is for fine motor. I also found this in a kit at the Dollar Tree. It was in a bug collecting kit, so you can use it for this. And this helps your child to develop the fine motor skills they need, which will help them later with writing. So they can just take these out one at a time and then maybe put them back. So maybe have them help you clean up something and make it a fun game for them so that they can develop those hand muscles that they will need for writing in the future. As you're practicing with your child, please make sure that the formation of letters are done correctly. A lot of times we say practice makes perfect. Well, actually, practice makes permanent. So if your child is constantly practicing these letters incorrectly, it's going to be a habit that they're going to have to go back. So whether your child is just starting to write or if they're in fifth grade already, if your child is not doing this, please take the time to do this with them. So letters should all start in a certain area, and if most letters, even like these that I have on the board right here, begin with the letter C. And you can see where the arrows are, how it shows them to go and make the letter that direction. If you have them come to the bottom and start and go up here, when they later on want to write in cursive, they're ending the letter in the wrong spot. And that way they're not going to be able to go into the next letter. So when you make a G, your child also starts with a C. They go up. It's one motion without lifting up their finger or their pencil until it's done. Your younger students can do this in shaving cream. If you were practicing, put some shaving cream maybe on a placemat, and they can use their finger to do this. They can write in sand in a sandbox or practicing like this. It doesn't always have to be just sitting and writing to practice these. If you purchase these, you can find them books like this that have this information at the Dollar Tree. But it would be really good practice to sit with your child and help them and not just give it to them, because children trace over things and may not use the correct formation. As your child is moving into identifying letters and sounds, the first part is maybe to, if they're going to identify letters, you can also find books like this at the Dollar Tree. You just find word searches, take the words off completely, just cut them out. Some pages can be a full page of this. So if you have a young child, start with a smaller one or maybe cut it and just have a couple of lines. You could even use a newspaper if you have one at home or a magazine and ask them to identify letters. So maybe they take a yellow and they just color with their crayon all the O's that they see. That way if they end up coloring a Q, that misconception you can fix right then and show them that that's a Q and that's why it's different. And then pick a different color and do another letter. So this is something that they can do independently if you need to go do something for a few minutes and say, find this letter for me, and maybe leave a model for them and they can work on this. As they move from that, they're going to be going into identifying the letters. And if you have your child, you can get flashcards. You can make these at home yourself on index cards. But when you have your child identifying the letters, please make sure they're doing them in random order, because sometimes students will sing the alphabet to us and parents will say they know their alphabet. Identifying them in random order is what they need. Also very important, when they start their letter sounds, please do not let them say things like f and la and duh for the sounds for f and l and d, because they're adding an extra sound in and that makes it difficult for them to sound out a word. You can do very simple things, buy magnets at the Dollar Tree. You can get a chalkboard there or something. When children are hearing the sounds, which is what they're going to be doing first, and they need to master this before they're ready for writing and those kinds of things, you can actually move these magnets. So say I was sounding the word camp, I could say specific sounds, is k, and then blend, camp. And you can do this even just for your child to even hear it, even in the car. This is also identifying sounds in words, so you can make something with mixed up letters. You could start with words that maybe are real words, like you could say cab, cab. Then you could say to your child, what's the first sound you hear? What's the ending sound you hear? What's the middle sound you hear? Then also practicing words that are like nonsense words, like b-ab, bab. And that way you know that your child can identify letter sounds, even if it's a nonsense word. Some of the sight words that you can start working with your child, there's the Dolch sight words that you can find on the internet. They're for free. I use the Fry list, which is very similar. The Fry list has words, lots of different, like they've got the first 100 words and it goes way up into probably even high school. So these are words that students use frequently. I would start with list 1, go through the list, and maybe have your child identify the words they know that they can read without sounding out. These are not words that should be sounded out. They should be looked at. That's why they're called sight words, so that when they see them, they know them. Maybe start with a few at a time. Once they master those, go on to some others. There's no particular order if they want to do A and I or is first. And that's a great way to lead into writing later on by using those words in writing. Then phonics is the sounds in the words, and these are flashcards that you could find in a store or at the Dollar Tree. This one has the short I sound in it, and students can start seeing patterns that are in words. These are smaller baking pans that I found at the Dollar Tree as well. They're great for doing activities with magnets. So say your student or your child has learned the word they can actually take index cards, and you can use this as a magnetic board for them to build the words. And that way they're actually manipulating the words. They're not just sitting with a piece of paper and having to write all these words 10 times each. That's not as meaningful as actually manipulating the letters. I wanted to take that into writing and just show you that when your child is writing at any grade level, you can have them make sure that they're starting with trying to focus on one topic. So I've done one for younger students, but this is something that you can use as a model just to show you what your child needs to do. Have them start focusing on a specific topic. So this topic is about pets, and this one says, I have a pet. Now your child is going to give key details, like he is a dog, his name is Ryder. Some of our younger students don't realize that the ER makes the sound because they're used to in younger grades putting just the R, and some of our older students do that too. Instead of sitting with your child and just calling letters to them, have them write the spelling inventively, like they're writing what they hear. Then go back and show them how to correctly write it, but leave it alone so that they can make the correction another time on their own. That is more meaningful for them. This student here also wrote the word loves like it sounds. So you would leave that word like it is and then write the correct spelling below it for them to show a model of what the word should look like. That way, hopefully the next time they write it, they will write it correctly. If not, model it again. Here at the end, they had a closing sentence, and that's what we'd like to see. So even if your student is in 5th grade and they're doing very detailed writing, they still need to have a topic, key details, and a closing sentence. This student wrote the word like without the E at the end. That is not a word that should be spelled inventively. It should be corrected. Have your child then go right away and fix the word, because this is a sight word that needs to be written correctly. So that's just a few suggestions on some writing. And then I just brought a few things that I use in my classroom as well. Before I do that, Also take time to read with your child as often as you can. Finding books with the older students, sometimes finding a book that they are interested in. These are the Magic Tree House books, so this is a series of books, and your child might really be interested in finding a series, and once they find one book they love, knowing that there's others in the series that they can read, that would be a great resource. They can check with the librarian and tell what their interests are. The Junie B. Jones books are also a set of books in a series. This one here, these are also those types of books for older students that are chapter books. Some students might prefer to read nonfiction books, so try to find what your child is interested in, real photographs and real information. Some of our younger students, I know the students in my class absolutely love the Piggy and Elephant books that are by Mo Willems, and every time they find one, they love it. They look for the expressions on the elephant's face and on the pig's face, and we talk about text features, like what does this mean, the exclamation, why the word is written big, and those kinds of things. So that would be a great way. Anna Dubney also writes a series of books about her own children and things that may happen at school with them. So these are some great ideas. If you're reading to your child, read to them at a level that's a little bit above their level, because they're learning those important ways of how your voice sounds and how you should be reading with expression. They're getting that from you when you read to them. And then try to go to the library and find some books for them that are on their level that they can read to you. So just very quickly as I end, I found all of these things at the Dollar Tree, and this is really useful. I use them in my classroom when I'm assessing students. This little tub was at the Dollar Tree. It's really convenient. These cards I purchased at the Dollar Tree. They have the words from preschool. I have them all the way up that I have found so far up to 3rd grade. So even if your child is in 5th grade and maybe they don't know these words, it's really important just to start where they are. It doesn't make any sense to just say to them, well, you should be doing 5th grade words. If they're not ready for that, go back to these basic words and show them again how to do that. I just cut the cards apart. I put them in my box and everything is right there. So maybe having a special homework time with your child and special homework activities to do. You can do something as basic as index cards. Write the words on here, cut them, divide them up, have your child build them. So all of these ideas are just very simple things that have worked for me over the years. And then also just know that if your child needs an index card pack, I don't mind getting them some. We also have very small journals that if your child would like to do writing in that, practicing some writing ideas with them, please have your child come by and ask me. I'm Miss Dorman in 1st grade, and I'll be glad to provide that for them. So I hope this is helpful for you. So in the future, when you say my child doesn't have any homework, your child will have plenty to do if they practice these ideas. Thank you.